the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go, New York, go, New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 390 of the New York Knicks podcast, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network. I am Jay, and with me is Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you? I want to start the show off by saying that so last Friday it was announced the news broke that Kyrie wanted to be traded. Kyrie Irving, for those that and one of the teams he named was the Knicks, and the Knick world went crazy. And I said to Jay, should we do an emergency episode this weekend to talk about it? And Jay said, no, I am not going to spend an entire goddamn show talking about a trade that's never going to happen. It's completely just idiotic to spend a show doing that. So now, about 5 days later, we're going to spend a show doing that. Nothing's happened since then, so we might as well talk about the Kyrie Irving non-trade that's never going to happen, because why not talk about it? Because what the heck? Yeah. Jay is probably going to take the position on the show that the Kyrie trade is totally – I think we'd agree, Jay, that the trade's never happening.
No, I mean, well, here's the thing. For the trade to happen, Melo doesn't want to go there. So –
Wait, no. Melo will go there.
I don't think
I don't believe that. Melo said he wants to go to Houston. I think he said before he would go to Cleveland.
Yeah, he said he would go to Cleveland when they had Kyrie.
Oh, no. He wants to go to the play with LeBron. You want to go to the finals. It's a free trip to the finals. It's like winning a trip to the finals.
I don't know. I feel like if Melo wanted
to
to go there, he would be there right now.
No, he wouldn't. Who would the Knicks trade back? I mean, who would the Knicks get back? The problem is there's been no real trade to work out because Cleveland has nothing to offer the Knicks. Cleveland's like, you want JR back? And the Knicks are like, oh, go F yourself.
Cleveland has Kyrie.
Well, now they have Kyrie to trade.
And if Melo wanted to go there, it would have happened.
How? What's the trade? What trade is Cleveland going to offer the Knicks that's going to make sense? The problem with this is the Knicks have to really, really overpay to make this trade happen. I've heard people calling up like sports radio who are like, let's just give the next 4 first-round picks to Cleveland.
I heard that today, too. Somebody messaged us on Twitter saying that. Which
is completely insane. And they were like, oh, let's just do that because I want to watch fun basketball. You know what's not going to be fun? Being the goddamn Brooklyn Nets, who traded 4 first-round picks to get Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. You probably using the exact same logic, and now they're in hell.
Remember when everyone wanted to trade draft picks to get Lowry, and then we didn't, and then it turned into Porzingis? That's why you don't trade draft picks.
That's not the. That's a different. I thought that was the 2018 pick.
Nope.
It was the 2016 pick.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. You have the wrong pick. It was the 2018 pick.
Thought we would have traded for Lowry?
Yeah. We couldn't have traded. The Porzingis pick was untradeable because the league rules prevent you from trading consecutive picks.
Well, you get my point.
You get my inaccurate point.
But you get in theory, you get what I'm talking about.
Did I ever make the point in the show that how everyone gave Phil a lot of credit for not trading first-round draft picks? And when I look back, league rules prevented him from trading any of the first-round draft picks he had. It was because you can't trade consecutive. So the 2015 and 2017 picks, because the Knicks had traded away the 2016 pick, they were not allowed by league rules to trade the 15 and the 17 pick. They did not trade away the 18 or 19 pick, but that's what he gets credited for. But you can't give him credit for picks he wasn't allowed to trade away.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's just design a trade for me that the Knicks would say yes to. And Cleveland would say yes to.
Well, that's the harder part.
Yeah, you just said if Melo was willing to go to Cleveland, the trade would have happened. Melo is willing to go to Cleveland. I don't have special inside information. I just know he said he was going to go there before. And who wants to turn down a free trip to the finals?
It would be Melo, 2 first-rounders for Kyrie.
This is why that's not going to happen, because Cleveland does not have to trade him to the Knicks. Cleveland can trade him to one of 29 teams. There's 28 other teams they can trade and get a better offer from.
Yeah.
So why would they trade him to the Knicks just to get why wouldn't they just make a better trade?
By the way, I watched the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles this weekend, which has Mello in it. Mello promoted that for months. He has one line in it.
What's his line?
Will Arnett walks up to him and says, "You're Mello and you're famous," and he's like, "Yep."
He's he's randomly in Sons of Anarchy also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was watching Sons of Anarchy, and there's some scene where some guy's been kidnapped, and he's in a prison, and one of the prison guards, they don't even mention his name. It's just you're why is Mello there in this random scene? And Mello's in the scene for 30 seconds.
That's his brand.
Mello doesn't talk. I don't think he talks in the scene. You don't know why he's in the scene. You're just you're looking at the scene being wait a second, is one of the guards Carmelo Anthony? And you stare, and you have to look it up because you're that's so weird. Why would Carmelo Anthony just be a random extra in Sons of Anarchy? But he is. And you could look that up. Okay, so first, you're completely wrong. If Mello is willing to go to Cleveland, you don't think Mello would go to Cleveland now?
No.
What's your logic?
He wants to go on a team he thinks he can win a championship with,
Cleveland.
and I don't think they're a championship team with Calderon and Rose as point guards.
Who's beating them? Take Kyrie. Kyrie falls off a bridge tomorrow.
Yep.
Team as is. How will they not go to the finals? Who's beating them?
Well, they might go to the finals. There's no way they're touching the Warriors.
Whatever. He goes to the Rockets. The Rockets aren't beating the Golden State Warriors.
I think
the super team. The actual
he
super team.
thinks that they could.
He wants to play with Chris Paul, but I think he's very. We don't know what he's really thinking, but I'm gonna say
the Rockets are a better team at this point, I think, than the Cavs.
Well, you know what they have in their way? The Golden State Warriors. They won't go to the finals. The Cleveland has an all-expense paid trip to the finals. There's no one's beating them. You could kill Kyrie and Kevin Love, and LeBron would still get that team back to the finals.
You don't think Boston got better?
Yeah, they got better enough to lose to Cleveland. They're still not going to beat them. LeBron he averaged a goddamn triple-double in the finals. He is really, really good. Unless he gets injured, I don't see how anyone's beating Cleveland. And unfortunately, Derrick Rose, by the way, is on. Where are they now? Derrick Rose is not a New York Knick. He's officially on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So he went from, in January, talking about a max contract to taking the vet's minimum. That's got to sting.
There was some article talking about how he took this huge discount to play with Cleveland, and Jay had a good comment on Twitter saying, "What discount? He took 100% of the best offer he got."
Of the only offer he got.
Yeah. Well, there was talks that Milwaukee was going to try to give him $4 million.
It was but they didn't. He would have taken that.
Do you think last year before he became last year before he joined the Knicks, if Derrick Rose became a free agent, what kind of contract would he have been looking at? Someone
10,
would
10,
I don't
12.
know. I think becoming a New York Knick devalues you so much. It's that damaging to you.
I don't think it's so much becoming a Knick. I think everyone thought this is his last chance to prove that he could stay healthy, and he didn't, and everyone's just done with it.
I don't know. I think Derrick Rose also looked at this you know what? He didn't get the money he wanted, but his agent probably said to him, "Listen, didn't work out with the Knicks. You can play for the Bucks, but you're not going anywhere. You may not get a big deal afterwards. Play for Cleveland. You're going to go to the finals. Someone's going to think you're better than you are because you went to the finals and give you some money."
I'm pretty sure his manager didn't phrase it quite like that. Someone's going to think you're better than you are.
Someone's going to think you're not washed up. Don't I pay you? Yeah, you do. You pay me to talk to you that you're crap, Derek.
So Aflalo also signed for the vets minimum. So that means 2 recent Knicks starters signed for vets minimums this year.
But there was Calderon playing for.
I think also the vet minimum. Okay, so 3.
Three Knicks starters in the last 2 years are playing for the vets minimum. But Melo had a lot of talent around him. it also kind of kills the whole narrative that, like, how could Melo have not won last year? He had Derrick Rose. Well, apparently the rest of the league thinks Derrick Rose is worth vet minimum.
Right.
I guarantee, though. So last year when the Knicks got Rose, I said it would be a disaster. I'm guaranteeing right now, Derrick Rose is going to look pretty decent on Cleveland. I think Cleveland, like, his defense won't look. You won't notice his defense as much. And his offense is going to look pretty good because he's going to have to. His responsibility is going to be driving to the basket, not passing.
How many games do you think he plays?
60, which will be fine.
Should be the most he's played in like 5 years.
How many did he play last year? Did he not play? Did he not play 60 for the Knicks?
It's close.
What is it?
I should have had this up.
What is it?
I'll let you know in a second.
I'm going to let you know faster because I'm a faster Googler than you are. He played 66 games for the Knicks last year.
Okay.
64.
64.
So anyway, if he plays anywhere between, if he's healthy for the playoffs, it'll be fine. He's going to look decent. Last year he looked really good driving to the basket, a lot better than both of us expected, and they already have a point guard. LeBron's the point guard, and LeBron is an absolutely amazing point guard. So you really don't necessarily need Derrick Rose to pass the ball, and Derrick Rose is happy not to pass the ball.
Right.
So I think Rose is probably, I guess Rose will be the starting point guard, I guess, if they trade Kyrie. So here I have a theory.
Well, it depends who they trade him for. There's some Bledsoe rumors going around.
So here's my conspiracy theory. So apparently, first of all, Kyrie's been talking about leaving Cleveland before LeBron even got there. Did you know that?
Yeah, I heard somewhere since like 2013 he was upset.
Well, I mean, would you be upset if you played in Cleveland too? But apparently he's been upset, and apparently he's been like wanting to go for a while. Whatever reason. And so I guess like he did obviously go to management and ask to be traded. And obviously LeBron found out because LeBron runs the team. Do you think, and so Stephen A. Smith reported that LeBron, his camp leaked this. And I think, so first of all, do you think that's true?
Why?
Here's why. I'll give you the why. First of all, you can't really not leak it because there's like one day you're not going to like turn on the news and you're going to see that Cleveland, without anything coming up, any news ahead of time, Cleveland just trades Kyrie. That's not going to just come out of nowhere. But I think LeBron looked at the team and said, I want to beat Golden State next year. I don't want to just get back to the finals. I want to beat Golden State. He looked at free agency. He looked at the draft, was hoping Cleveland could make something happen. They did not. He heard the news about Kyrie wanting to leave and said, great, let's leak this so the trade actually happens, and let's try to figure out a way to make this team even better so we can actually beat Golden State.
I like Bill Simmons' theory better than yours.
What's his theory?
His theory is that he's going to L.A. next year, no matter what, and he wants everyone to put the blame on management and not him this time. So he's setting the stage like, the team's in disarray, they can't keep their players, look what happened.
Apparently, I heard some of Bill Simmons. Apparently, LeBron has his own PR person that's just like focuses on LeBron PR and like his whole team. He has a whole team for this stuff, and so that makes sense. But if you think about it, like there's no way they're going back into beating Golden State unless Golden State has a major injury, right?
Correct.
How do you make the team better?
I mean, you can't now. They did all short-sighted moves to try and make LeBron happy. By the way, they just Golden State just re-signed McGee. They've kept their entire championship team. I don't think that's ever happened before.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but usually they make some minor tweaks. I mean, there's usually like 3 or 4 different guys.
The craziest thing ever to me was how Dallas, after winning the title, let Tyson Chandler go. They let their team fall apart. They let Jason Kidd go. You win the title,
and Sean Marion.
You bring back the exact same team unless someone dies.
Well, that's my point, though. It never happens.
It never happens.
Like, either it's not always management. Sometimes the players. Like, after the third Bulls championship, Horace Grant wanted to, like, be the man, so he went to Orlando. Like, usually something happens. It's weird that, like, their top 13 guys all stayed.
Right. No, that's great. I mean, was it the Bill Simmons has a theory on that also. I
think that's Pat Riley's theory, the theory of more.
Yeah, the disease of more.
Yeah,
where you want more of a role, you want more everything afterwards.
Yeah.
Except for more actual winning. But so going with the theory, you replace Kyrie with Derrick Rose in the starting lineup, and then Derrick Rose can still score. He can't score as well as Kyrie, but you replace Kyrie scores what, 20, 22, 23 a game, right? Derrick Rose will score you 16 a game. Then you replace him with two guys that can play defense. And that's what you need. Kyrie didn't play a lick of defense, and that really hurt Cleveland. You need guys that can play defense on Steph Curry, Durant. You need some defensive help. So you trade him for Bledsoe can actually play defense, right? Am I crazy?
No,
Bledsoe's a pretty good defender. You get Bledsoe or get some other guys who are actual good defenders, and maybe you can build a better team for next year's finals. Like really, like you switch Kyrie for Derrick Rose. We're still going to the finals, but we switch Kyrie for two other players that are going to be better than Richard Jefferson and whoever else they had on the bench last year, and maybe the team would actually have a shot against Golden State. And what was the when LeBron is off the floor and Kyrie's on the floor, the defense was atrocious.
Yeah,
they gave in the last games that LeBron has missed and Kyrie played, the Cleveland's like 2-13. And they said in total minutes when I don't have the exact numbers here, but on total minutes of games when anytime Kyrie's on the floor and LeBron's not on the floor since the last 3 years, I think they're they're a -9 on the plus and minus. They're getting beat without him. So you need maybe he figures Kyrie is not necessarily helping us win a title. I know Kyrie can score 40 points, but he can't prevent them from scoring, the other side from scoring, and that's not helping.
Right. So
you don't like my theory that LeBron thought this is the only way he'd have a shot against Golden State?
No, I think LeBron is out.
I agree he's out. I agree that Simmons' theory makes a lot of sense because I do think he's leaving for the Lakers, but I think he wants to win the title this year.
I think he would like to, but I don't. It seems like a weird move to. I don't see how they're going to get that much better trying to trade Kyrie.
I think it's worth a shot, though. I think they're going to be. I think they have a good chance of being better than they were last year by trading Kyrie. You don't have that many assets you can trade, and really, if you try to you couldn't just trade Kevin Love because Kevin Love doesn't want to leave. Kyrie said he wants to leave, so you have a good reason to trade him, and you might be able to convert him to and that's why you would trade him and get Melo now. If Cleveland's thinking about the future, it'd be insane to get Melo.
Yeah.
And also, how awesome would it be for Melo the year after, LeBron leaves and Melo's like, I could opt out, but I'd lose $25 million, or I could spend the next year in Cleveland playing alongside Kevin Love and going to the lottery.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
So I know you're in the camp that's saying that the Knicks should not get Kyrie.
I'm not saying they should not get him. I'm saying they shouldn't trade all their assets. I don't want any more than tops one draft pick going for him.
Okay, so here's one thing that a lot of people have said. This is not the same thing as Melo. How is this different? I looked up. So Kyrie's going to be 25. If the Knicks got him, he'd be 25 next year.
Yeah. The
Knicks got Melo when he was 26.
Mm-hmm.
So both guys were entering their prime. How is it? And both guys are subpar defenders. I would argue that Melo is actually probably the better defender of the two.
Definitely. No question about that.
And I'd also argue prime Melo is, at least as far as what we've seen in Kyrie, Kyrie's a great scorer. He's an offensive weapon. I would argue Melo is a better offensive player, or was a better offensive player. Not now, obviously. But in his prime, I'd argue Melo is a better offensive player.
Yeah.
Kyrie, in theory, passes more. But he does pass more. But Melo got more on rebounds. Melo did the.
Yeah, but Kyrie's also supposed to be the point guard.
Yes, he's supposed to be the point guard. Melo also could score from anywhere. I mean, Kyrie also could shoot the three. Melo is a great shooter from three. They're both I wouldn't say Melo's a lot better offensive player. And even if you said they're even offensive players. There's no way you're going to say Kyrie's a far superior player than Melo was in his prime. So it's pretty much the exact same situation. Both situations are you got to trade for the guy, and if you trade for him, you're going to gut your team. Obviously, the Knicks could have waited a little bit. The Knicks could have waited 3 months and gotten Melo in free agency. The Knicks aren't going to wait 2 years and get Kyrie. So you trade for him, or you're just not going to get him.
I mean, you could get him if he wants to be there that bad. He plays out the last 2 years or wherever he ends up, and then he signs. That's the thing. Like, people want to play in New York. It's like, well, then we shouldn't have to gut our entire team to get you.
Yeah, I mean, there is the theory of, like, you want to play in New York. Well, in 2 years, you'll be free to come here for a lot of money from us.
And you could play here for a decade.
Yeah, no, that is true. If they traded for him now and you had a core of KP, the one big difference is you would have, like, another young player, star-level player to grow with him. Like, Melo, you traded for Melo, and the other guy, your other, quote, star player, Amari, kind of played the same position as Melo. Here, KP and Kyrie, obviously completely different positions.
Yeah. So
in that respect, you have guys that should, in theory, complement each other. Versus, I mean, in some level, you could have thought Amari and Melo would have figured out how to play together, but they obviously did not. How is it different than Starbury? Starbury was a point guard. He was a very good offensive player.
Yeah, I mean, the entire rest of the team when he was here was complete trash.
Oh, no. But I'm saying, how is it also different from getting Starbury? Like, that's the other thing people have said. It's totally different than getting Stephen Martin. It's not. This is totally different. The Knicks aren't just trying to get. They don't have like shine. Like, this is like, we're in a rebuild. Ooh, shiny object. Let's go for it. I mean, is it that different? They got Starbury when he was 26. He was he wasn't quite as good as an offensive player as a
Kyrie.
Probably, yeah, he wasn't quite the same, but he was a better passer, or at least he got a guy had a higher got more assists.
Yeah.
Also, similarly bad defender. How did Stephon Marbury go so poorly for the Knicks?
I think it was, well, first the coaching situation was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And so was pretty much the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And so was the GM and the
So
manager.
For anyone out there who listens to, I think this was an NPR podcast, Planet Money. You ever listen to Planet Money NPR podcast, Jay?
No.
So they do this Planet Money one. It's always like a story it's semi-related to economics. And sometimes they have some pretty interesting stories. They had one about like the Apple industry and blah, blah, blah. So they had one very recently. You should look up on Planet Money. They had one about Starbury shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the whole story behind Marbury and those sneakers was pretty fascinating.
Okay, check it out.
I'd recommend this is my podcast recommendation segment of the show. It's also kind of crazy that he became the king of China.
Yeah, that is
like
pretty
there's
insane.
like there is a statue of him because he was like the most amazing player in China basketball history.
So email nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. V writes, "Hey guys, big fan of the podcast. Frustrated Knicks fan from Sydney, Australia. Another Australian listener.
Australia.
Just wanted to get your guys' opinion on who you guys think would be a perfect coach mentor for the Knicks if we didn't have Horny, and also what players we should have signed this free agency that we missed out on. Also, which players should we sign from the remaining free agents once we get some cap space, if we get some? Thanks, V."
If they trade Melo, I don't think they're going to get much, if any, cap space back.
Right.
Like, it's going to take on contracts. So I don't think we're going to have cap space.
No. So, yeah.
I would have liked Jonathan Simmons.
Yeah. I mean, he ended up getting, what, $6 million a year?
Yeah. I mean, like, if you didn't give that crazy deal to Tim Hardaway or you just offered him a normal amount of money, maybe you could have fit in Jonathan Simmons.
Right. Yeah, I mean, not that Simmons is, I mean, he's already 28, but, you know, it's a nice, smart signing. It wasn't $6 million a year is
the
decent.
theory behind Simmons, people have said, like, well, he averaged 6 points a game last year. He looked pretty good when given a bigger role in the playoffs. He can defend well. He looked like a guy that could, if given the opportunity to start, and he'll be given the opportunity to start in Orlando, could take his game to the next level.
Yeah.
As far as coach mentor, I don't know. Van Gundy? That's who I'd love.
He hasn't coached in so long, though. You think he's even good anymore?
I only can think of guys that used to coach the Knicks when.
And the guy hasn't coached in like 20 years.
Do you think you can't relate anymore? Like if Van Gundy came back, he couldn't be a good coach anymore.
I mean, I think he would be rusty. I mean,
but he did it for a long time, and he was a really,
like
really good coach. And like
years.
it's not like he left the game; he's been around the game since then.
But it's been 20 years.
Has it been that long since the Knicks have been good?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
I mean,
I don't know.
Is David Blatt just never gonna coach again?
No, never gonna coach again. And on what resume would you like? What about why would you hire him either? Like, what about him would say like he got to the finals with LeBron, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah, I coached 1 year and made the finals.
I coached 1 year and made the finals, but like I could actually coach that team and make the finals because LeBron's coaching. And LeBron eventually thought he was a problem and had to get rid of him.
Well, LeBron thinks everybody's a problem.
LeBron gets it done. I mean, whatever you want to say about him, like you can hate on him all you want, he gets to the finals.
He does. He sure does.
He's one of the greatest ever, and like in many ways, we should be. However you want to hate on him, we should all be kind of like trying to watch every game he has going forward because it's rare you're going to see a player this good playing.
Yeah.
Like he leaves the league, you probably are going to have. I mean, there are other guys that are really good also, but LeBron is freaking amazing. There aren't too many guys. Why am I praising LeBron? I don't like.
You do
LeBron.
that like every episode now. It's getting kind of bad.
Yeah, I know.
So thank you, V. I had my eye on Caldwell Pope, but he got a 1 year like $18 million. That was a little too pricey.
Here's a question for you. Anyone in San Antonio? Let's get San Antonio's assistants. Are the Nets? Do you like what the Nets are doing? I think someone's going to ask later on, asking the Facebook questions. Actually, just read the Facebook question because I kind of just want to bring this up anyway right now. They said, debate time, who has a better future as of now, Knicks or Nets? I still think the Knicks have a better future. But do you like what the Nets are doing?
Yeah, I mean, considering they had almost no flexibility, I like what they did.
I mean, how could you not like what they did? They've added a bunch of guys. I mean, they took a lot of gambles with this roster, but the roster looks like, I don't know, it looks kind of decent.
Yeah, I mean considering they had no flexibility, I'm impressed with what they were able to do.
I mean, they're still going to be bad.
Oh, yeah.
But Boston's probably freaking out a bit like, hey, like, we need the number one pick again, Boston Nets. Can you step it up? I mean, so Nets right now, they got Allen Crabbe, and basically that was just Portland wanted to get rid of his contract. After last year giving him this big $70 million deal, they were like, please, anyone, please take this contract.
Yeah, which is what the Knicks should have been looking to do.
Well, is it weird? Well, they didn't get much for it. I guess the Nets last year tried to sign Crabbe, and Portland matched, so they get him 1 year later.
Right.
Do you think the Knicks should have just taken Allen Crabbe's contract?
Yeah.
But they didn't get anything. It's not like they got a draft pick to do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would want an asset for it. It's the kind of move that we were talking about, though. Like the Knicks should be looking to get assets to take on bad contracts.
Well, they got DeMario Carroll's contract, and they got a draft pick, which is a late first-round draft pick. But the Crabbe one, the Nets move there basically was just to get Allen Crabbe.
Yeah.
So they didn't they thought the asset of the deal was Allen Crabbe, but Allen Crabbe was like 25 years old. Not a bad gamble that he might be good.
Yeah.
And they got what's his name? Who's the point guard? Am I losing my mind?
D'Angelo Russell?
Yeah, they got D'Angelo Russell, which I think is I don't know why they don't list him on I'm looking on the Nets page and I don't see D'Angelo Russell listed.
It's not a bad. I mean, all of a sudden they're like an intriguing young team.
Yeah, I mean, Russell could end up being pretty bad, and Crabbe could just end up not being that great. But you take a team that now there's some potential. You have the worst team in the league. They made some interesting moves. I have to hand it to Sean Marks, the guy who was the assistant for San Antonio, who I wish the Knicks had taken as their GM, and I would love that. He's doing some interesting stuff there. He's making the Nets games. Like, if you're a Nets fan, you're like, oh, I thought I would just have to pretend the NBA didn't happen next year. Now I'm kind of actually a little bit excited to see what happens.
Right. We got one.
I'm going to take the position that if you could do next year's first round pick and Melo, I might if you could do that and maybe I don't know what else I would almost do the deal for Kyrie. I'm on the fence about it.
I would not do 2 first-rounders.
I wouldn't do for 2 first-rounders. But if you could somehow LeBron thought it was a good idea to get Melo and next year's first, and what's the other asset? Would you do Melo, next year's first, and Frenchie?
No.
I don't know. I might do that trade. And that's a lot to give up. But at the same time, chances are you're not going to draft a guy that's as good as Kyrie. Chances are Frenchie's not going to be as good as Kyrie. Kyrie is one of the best offensive players in the league, even if his defense sucks. And he's 25. If you're telling me if you had this year, I guess basically if you could draft again and you could draft either Frenchie or Kyrie, who are you taking?
Yeah, but you can't do that because he's 7 years younger.
Yeah, but at the same time, if the draft was, if some reason or another it was Kyrie, you could pick one or the other. You would pick Kyrie over Frenchie.
Well, it's also I've never seen Frenchie play, and I've seen Kyrie play for 7 years.
Is it weird our coach hasn't even seen him play? Or in a second, it's I don't know if he could start the season as our point guard. I don't know what he could do. I've never seen him play.
Bill writes, thoughts on the Knicks giving up 1 or possibly 2 first-round picks for Irving? We just covered that. Sorry.
I think 2. It sounds like you're setting the franchise back too much.
Yeah. Sorry, but I'd rather have them build for the future through the draft and not give up all our assets for one guy like we did for Melo. Maybe I listen to you guys too much, or we think alike, but I'd rather not give up even 1 first-rounder for Irving. Rather give up the whole team's minis. Rather give up the whole team minus Kristaps.
It's also the problem is that, let's say you work out a trade and you make the trade for Kyrie. Well, the next 2 years, either way, you have no cap space to add anyone else for the next 2 years. So in 2 years, you haven't done much to improve that. You add Kyrie, but you can't add anything else because we still have Noah. We still have the new Tim Hardaway contract. It's not like you add Kyrie and go oh, now free agents want to come here, except you can't sign free agents.
Yeah.
And then in 2 years, when those contracts leave, you're going to have to max out KP and max out Kyrie and still have very little cap space.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if you do this move and you trade a bunch of assets for Kyrie, whatever team you end up with, that's pretty much your ceiling. And I don't think it's a championship ceiling, and that's the whole point of basketball.
And let's say 2 years from now, the team hasn't been that good. And I asked on Facebook, I said, well, let's replace all we're going to do is replace Melo with Kyrie on the roster, which is you're going to have to do more than that to actually make the trade. But that's all you do. How many games are the Knicks going to win? And most people were 40 games, maybe 45 games. We're not even getting to 50 games with that roster because you still have Timmy Hardaway starting for you. You still have Noah. You don't have that. The bench still sucks. So with that, if adding Kyrie only gets us to maybe 45 wins, and then 2 years from now, Kyrie might say, only 45 wins? I'd rather win a title. I'll see you later.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's weird that he named 4 teams on this list, including the Spurs and the Knicks. How do you name the Spurs and the Knicks? Those teams do not go together in naming things.
Right.
I want the best run team in the NBA or the worst run.
Our website is the NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com. Patrick wrote a nice article on Steve Perry, so you can go there, check that out.
Is that the lead singer from Aerosmith?
Yes, newest writer for our website. And,
thank you.
During the season, Nick McGowan wrote a bunch of stuff, so you can still check all that stuff out.
And if you would like to write for the New York Knicks podcast, you should email us at
nyknickspodcast@gmail.com.
You could write for our site, put it on your resume, and you will have writing credits on your resume.
There you go. We will plug your Twitter or blog or whatever else you're working on too.
Yes, we will write you. We will write you a recommendation for college.
So we also have a Patreon. Patreon.com.
We do?
Yep, patreon.com/nyknickspodcast. All our content is free, but podcasting is expensive. So if you want to chip in, help with some of the podcasting expenses, you can become a Patreon.
We're talking to you, Carmelo Anthony.
If you do pledge at least $10 a month, you will get a Knicks podcast T-shirt. And if we hit our goal of $500 million a month, we will buy the Knicks.
Yes, $500 million in Knicks. We will buy the Knicks. And if you are doing it, we will let our Patreon users vote whether the Knicks are going to trade for Kyrie Irving.
There you go.
So if you pledge, we get the $500 million, and then you, of a part of a select group of people, get to vote whether we're gonna get Kyrie. And Jeff Bezos today became the richest man in the world. So Jeff Bezos, you yourself could donate the $500 million a month yourself, and you could decide yourself whether you want us as the owners of the team to trade for Kyrie. And Jeff Bezos, that's the only way you could own the Knicks is by giving us the money to buy the Knicks.
Yeah, you couldn't do it yourself.
Yes. Are we on Facebook?
Yes, we are also. We didn't mention Twitter. NY Knicks Podcast on Twitter.
Yes. Luis wrote the debate time. Who has a better future now? Knicks or the Nets? Whatever the Nets have done. The Knicks have KP. I like Frenchie. I feel like we still have a better future. Hey, what letter would you give the Knicks bench going into the season?
A 4.
That's not a letter, but I get what you're saying. The bench kind of worries me.
A D.
I mean, what's the starting lineup? Assuming the Kyrie trade's not happening, and let's just assume Melo's not on the Knicks, because I still believe Melo's going to be traded at some point before the season. The starting lineup looks like we got Ron Baker or Frenchie. We got Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway, KP, and Noah.
Yeah.
Okay. And we could argue who's. I think Noah's going to start the season starting, and then our bench lineup would be Frenchie,
Hernan Gomez,
Cock, at the 4. Hernan Gomez at the 5. Lance Thomas at the 3, and the 2 is Randall, who didn't look like he could play in the NBA when in summer league.
Yeah, it's bad. And then somewhere Kuzma's getting some minutes here and there.
And Sasha's not on the roster anymore, is he?
No.
I think they had to buy him out when they did the. They had
They didn't buy him out. They released his cap hold. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a moment to renounce Sasha. I renounce Sasha. I renounce Sasha. I renounce Sasha. Okay. That bench lineup scares the shit out of me.
It's not a good bench lineup.
Bench kind of matters.
Only if you want to win games.
We don't. We want a number 1 draft pick next year, so we don't want to win games, so I love this draft bench. Declan writes, best and worst possible scenarios for this season. I'm going to say the worst scenario is the Knicks trade 4 first-round picks to get Kyrie, and then Kyrie plays 20 games.
That was going to be my worst. Yeah, trading all our future.
Or the Knicks say we couldn't get enough for Melo. Melo plays the whole season, takes valuable minutes away from the young guys, plays no defense. Knicks are still terrible, but they say they had to play Melo, and he plays out his entire contract here.
My worst case scenario would be the Knicks start winning, so they decide to make no moves, and then right when they get around the 30 win mark, everyone gets injured, and then we finish in the 9th seed, get a crappy draft pick, and everybody's injured.
Yeah, that would be bad. Best case, Knicks win 41 games. Well, either Knicks win either 4 games or 41 games.
Right.
Either scenario, 4 games, we hopefully get the number 1 draft pick, if not top 3. Supposed to be a good, like, I don't know how everyone else in the draft. I know there's supposed to be at least a couple guys supposed to be really good in this draft. Or if they win 41 games with this roster, I'm ecstatic because that means Timmy Hardaway played really well, KP played really well, Frenchie played really well, and we have something to build with. And I'm happy to take the 10th or 11th pick in the draft, and the Knicks have good young players.
And 41 wins in the East is probably a 6th seed.
Yes. You think Boston is good enough now to beat Cleveland?
I think they're close. I mean, I think it's very close now.
Okay, so Boston added, and we have to at some point in the summer actually we're going to do a show where we evaluate what actually happened in the offseason.
Yeah.
But they added obviously Tatum, who's yet to play an NBA game. So he looked good in summer league, but a lot of guys have looked good in summer league. What was and they added obviously
Gordon Hayward.
Gordon Hayward, which is a hell of an addition because Gordon Hayward actually can play defense. They have a really good team. Yeah, I guess it is close.
Because I feel like Cleveland took a slight step back and Boston took a step forward. It's close now.
Yeah, no, it should be. It actually should be a really good series when they play each other. Yeah, you would think Boston might have enough to actually take them down.
And if you want to hear all about Boston or Cleveland or the Nets, our podcast network, almightyballer.com, has a podcast for every team.
Yes. So if you're a Cleveland fan, there is a Cleveland podcast. If you're a Boston Celtic fan, Jay likes the Boston Celtics and probably does his own podcast behind my back.
I moonlight.
Yeah. Alan writes, "Hi guys, sending in some questions via Facebook. I don't think the Knicks should trade." Alan has asked questions from Facebook before, right?
Yeah.
So why did he write that he was sending us questions via Facebook?
I think he usually emails.
Oh, okay, got it. I don't think the Knicks should trade for Kyrie. He would destroy any young talent we have on this team for the next couple of years via sending players and picks out. Yes, I do. We both agree it would be pretty damaging. But Jay, so you still don't think that if it was just Frenchie, first-round draft, which I also don't think is going to be enough, but Frenchie, first-round draft pick, and Melo. And Melo you want to get rid of anyway. So it's really just Frenchie and a first-round draft pick for him. And chances are neither Frenchie or the guy we're going to draft first is going to be as good as Kyrie. If you two of those guys for one all-star level player seems like a pretty good trade.
Yeah, but I'm worried about giving that up for a guy who can leave in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, he's also, like, he has been injury prone.
Like, literally every single season he's been in the league.
And in fairness, in comparing the Melo situation to this, Kyrie, I know people have said, well, Kyrie's a champion, but Kyrie's been pretty bad without LeBron. He was terrible before LeBron got there. They were a lottery team, and he hasn't been very good when LeBron's been off the court. Melo had proven, at least at that point, that he could get a team to the playoffs year after year after year.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather take my chances with a draft pick than a guy who's bad on defense, can leave in 2 years, and is very, very injury prone. I think the injury prone part is the part that people aren't thinking about enough.
You know what? Also, if we say we want to rebuild, and that's what we really want to do, you can't just go, I want to rebuild. Ooh, shiny object.
Yeah.
You have to stick to, these are our principles. We think the team you rebuild, you got to rebuild it the right way, and you can't just be immediately throw the next shiny star just throws you off.
I think people are treating Kyrie like a once in a generation talent, and he's good, but I don't think he's worth mortgaging the future for.
Well, let's say LeBron said, I want to be a New York Knick. I'll only be there for 2 years. Guarantee I'm going to leave after 2 years. And I kind of want you to trade a lot to get me.
I mean, that's different because LeBron can get you to the finals just by getting LeBron. I don't think that's the case with somebody like Kyrie or pretty much anybody else in the NBA.
Because there I would say, we're probably not being Golden State, but I would like to go to the finals because it would be nice to have that's some real success.
Yeah.
Trading to Kyrie to get 45 wins. Well, a couple of years ago he won 54 games. The Knicks can get the 45 wins without getting they can do it another way.
Yeah.
Here's the question. I asked you this question. You said, and I asked this on Facebook also. If you're a Philly, and Philly can offer a lot. If you're a Philly, why not offer Fultz and a draft pick and a high? I'm sure they have a high draft pick next year. Someone's high draft pick. Would you do that to get a?
Nope.
See, that I don't understand. That I feel like is a situation where it makes even more sense to do it.
I think it makes even less.
Really?
Yeah. Fultz already looks really good, whereas you don't know if Tilakina is going to be good. You got him on a rookie contract for 4 years. You're not in a win now mode, and next year's draft pick might be really good too.
When you say Fultz already looks good, what do you mean?
playing basketball.
Oh, how many NBA games has he played?
He looked good in summer league. I mean, you're making a similar
right.
argument based on not seeing Tilakina at all.
No, I'm just saying he's never played an NBA game. You don't know how good he's going to be. And you know what? Offensively, he will not be as good as Kyrie Irving.
Okay, but he will most likely be better on defense.
I mean, how hard is that?
Exactly.
I'm just saying, like, you have Embiid, who is if you want to go in this team being healthy, Embiid is going to be an amazing defender. You have Embiid in the middle. You have Kyrie, and plus you have Ben Simmons. That's going to be a hell of a team to build around. Plus you have Saric, who won. He didn't win Rookie of the Year, but he almost won Rookie of the Year.
I'd rather keep the assets. I mean, they're such a young team. Yeah.
Kyrie's 25. I feel like Philly, you could probably also I feel like you have that team, like, there's so much you can build there, and you have so much cap space to add guys with it, because they signed a bunch of guys this year who are going to come off the cap next year. So you could add Kyrie, and then next summer add a bunch of guys to the roster also. You could build a really good team around Kyrie that would make him want to stay.
Yeah. I think you're overvaluing Kyrie.
I don't know. I think that would be a situation. I mean, Kyrie's still. You admit Kyrie, as far as offensive players in the NBA, he's top 10 easily, right?
I don't know about easily. Yeah, he's up there.
So he's one of the better offensive players in the league. So Philly immediately gets a lot of help on scoring.
If everyone's healthy in Philly, they don't need a lot of help in scoring.
I'm just saying this would jumpstart the team. I'm saying Philly, just do it and let's see what happens, Philly. Screw the process. Okay, Alan writes, I think Frank may be called up to the French national team to replace the injured Tony Parker and play in Eurobasket this September. Also, KP will appear for Latvia. Will you guys be watching them play? I'm going to add, before you even answer this, Jay, how angry is it going to make you that Frank and KP are going to be playing competitive basketball in September, meaning there's a decent chance they injure themselves prior to the season starting?
I mean, I am going to be nervous about that.
I mean, this is also like, there's no training camp. Like, I'm sure they'll do some practice, but like, I always worry about them playing very competitive basketball in the middle of the summer and right before like the season starts, where they're not going to get enough rest. I don't know. I feel like I don't love this.
Also, those games are usually on at like 3 a.m, so I probably won't be watching them.
I mean, I'm sure they'll be like, you don't think they'll you can tape them and watch them later? I mean, I'll tape the games.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious. Which one are you more curious to watch? Frenchie, or you've seen KP play? You must be Frenchie.
Yeah, no, I've seen KP.
Yeah, I'm curious to.
Although KP looks jacked this year, so that should be interesting.
I don't love that either.
We'll see.
I don't love, you don't need to add a lot of muscle. This is your upper body. Like, your leg muscles aren't going to. I'm not going to look at your leg muscle and go, wow, you have big leg muscles. But he doesn't need to have big biceps. All I know is a bunch of New York Mets spent their offseason gaining a lot of muscle, and now they're all injured. Watch the Celtics Lakers 30 for 30. Everyone, no one's really big.
Right.
Gillen writes, I found this Irving trade proposal in Cavs blog. What would you say if you were any of those three teams? And let me ask you also. So, what were the teams that Irving named? He named the Spurs. Who were the other two teams?
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
And the Heat.
Do you think any of those fan bases are going as insane as the Knicks fan base?
No. They're not as hard up. Timberwolves have a really good team. The Heat, they're like, well, if we don't get him, somebody else is going to want to sign here because we're in Miami.
Yeah.
And Spurs are like, well, we're already awesome, so we don't need him.
You know what my favorite thing also was that they talked, someone pointed out, and this is an obvious point anyway, but you have Kyrie Irving going, here are the 4 teams I'll be traded to, and the Cavs go, oh, who gives a shit? You don't have a no trade clause. That's not how the NBA works. We have 29 teams we could trade you to.
Right.
So here's the trade. Cleveland receives Carmelo Anthony, Eric Bledsoe, a 2018 first-round New York Knicks top 5 protected, and a 2020 first-round New York Knicks top 10 protected. New York receives Kyrie Irving, and Phoenix receives Channing Frye, Iman Shumpert, Kay Felder, and the 2018 second-round New York Knicks pick unprotected.
Why would Phoenix do that?
Just to be a part of the deal.
Yeah,
why is Phoenix doing this deal?
Hey, let's give away our borderline point guard all-star for a bunch of washed-up guys and second-round picks.
Yeah, is Phoenix trying to just get out of the Bledsoe contract? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think we could move on. Phoenix says no immediately.
Wait a second, Phoenix. You're going to give up Bledsoe. Your borderline best. I mean, I guess you can argue Booker's better. I don't know. But Bledsoe, you're one of your best players. And you know what you get back? I'm going to tell you what you get back. You get Iman Shumpert's contract. You get Channing Frye's contract. Whoever Kay Felder is. I mean, and guess what? You know how second-round picks are kind of worthless? You get the Knicks second-round pick.
Unprotected, though.
Unprotected. I mean, that's a pretty bad trade for Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's a great trade for Cleveland. That's the kind of trade where Cleveland that LeBron would like because that would get them. I would say if you're LeBron, doesn't Melo and Bledsoe give you a better chance of going to the final, winning the finals? That is versus Kyrie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
I mean, that's so overvaluing Irving, though. I mean, of course this was on a Cavs blog. They get Anthony Bledsoe and 2 firsts. Get the hell out of here.
Is the next proposal going to be the Knicks Cleveland gets every New York Knicks pick legally? NBA rules allows them to get going forward.
Cleveland gets to pick the 3 guys from the Knicks they want, and they also get to pick the 3 guys from the Cavs they send back.
I mean, I guess the argument here is that the Knicks, the only player they give up is Carmelo Anthony. They get to keep all the other players. But they give up
other really good players on the Knicks.
And they give up basically it's just Melo and 2 draft picks. I mean, I guess I would say it's hard to really count the second round draft pick as being that much. But not that they aren't worth something. But
let's move on.
Yeah. Gillum writes, I'm in favor of the Irving trade. But I guess how different is this than I said giving up Frenchie? I'm not dying. I don't know if I would do that. It's just I'm on the fence about Irving. I won't be if the Knicks don't give up that much. I won't be that upset. I just feel like this is probably a bad idea, and it's probably the exact same thing as the Melo situation. And we should probably just stick with trying to rebuild for once, and not just get distracted by shiny objects.
Thank you for joining the side of sanity.
Because he's not a once-in-a-generational talent. He's a very good player, but he's not that much. There are a bunch of players in the league that are just as good as him. He's not better than Lillard. He's not better than whatever.
John Wall.
He's not better than Isaiah Thomas on Boston. He's a very good player, but he's not. We're not getting anywhere. I don't see where this go. I don't see we get Kyrie, and then where do we go? We're still kind of. Okay, Gillum writes, I'm in favor of the Irving trade, but I don't want to trade Ntilikina. I'd rather send 2 picks and an option to switch that trade than trade him. Wait, you want to trade two picks and an option to switch?
Ugh.
Oh, God. My question is, what is your Frank's value in future picks? What is for you? What do you value? How do you value Frank? What would...
1 pick.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think Frank and we haven't seen him play. I want to let's keep these players.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have for once the Knicks are bad because they try to develop players and it just didn't work out. And you go, oh well, at least they did it the right way and didn't work out.
And at least there's another pick coming this year.
At least there's another pick coming. Stop trading draft picks. Let's see how it goes. Let's just do the crazy thing and just try to do it the correct way. Gilliam writes, would you be open to trading Ntilikina if you get Irving? How many picks and what protection what would be your limit to trade for Kyrie? Let's go. Let's go. Cleveland is so obsessed with getting Melo. They say just Melo and Ntilikina. Would you do it?
Melo and Ntilikina for Kyrie?
That's it. Yep. Melo and Ntilikina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at some point you also can't be crazy, and that would be an amazing trade. That would be worth it. Gillen writes, let's say the Knicks get Irving, and they could keep Frank and Willie. What if it was you have to trade Frank, Willie, and Melo? Would you do it?
No, because I think that pisses off Porzingis.
Do you think it pisses off Porzingis to go like, "Hey, I just got you one of the best offensive players in the league to play as your point guard,
and traded your best friend?
Best friend. Let's say Knicks get Irving and they could keep Frank and Willie. Lost Melo in the process. Maybe also Lee. Of course, there would be no pick next year, so no tanking. Let's say the Irving and the improved KP works promisingly, and that Frank is a nice one-on-one defender already that can shoot from three. So kind of overall best case scenario in my mind. Does this Knicks team make the playoffs? Which teams would you still be better than the Knicks? So the idea being, we give up Melo, we lose Lee, but we keep everyone else. Frenchie ends up being pretty decent right away. Irving's really good right away. KP gets better. What is this team looking at playoff wise?
They're still not good. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think we're going to sneak into like the 7th seed.
So your
maybe?
lineup is Irving, Baker, Hardaway, Porzingis, and then either Noah or Hernan Gomez, with like a terrible bench. That's like, yeah, you're fighting for like the 7th, 8th seed.
Yeah, the problem I can't get away. Like the Knicks need more. Like they need a bench. They need a lot more things. This team is. The team needs a lot of good play. Needs a lot, and like, I mean, you need Timmy also have to step up and become a much better player to make this work.
Yeah,
there are a lot of variables in this team. I mean, like, if Noah stays healthy for the full season and not return to Defensive Player of the Year, but become kind of decent. If KP steps up his game to the next level,
there's so many ifs.
Yeah, if Frenchie ends up being good, if Baker takes a step up in talent and then he becomes like an NBA player, if by the way, someone just posted no podcast tonight. Are we not doing it live?
No, I didn't realize that people actually tune in live.
Apparently people do, because every time you don't do it, people complain.
Okay. It's
and
weird.
Also, just to be fair, Jay, did our listeners pay $300 so I'd have to be on we do it live?
I do it most of the time. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I do the shows live through Ustream, and the chat room always shows nobody in there. But apparently people are watching it somehow. So
sometimes there are people that are interacting with you. Sometimes you get distracted by like interacting with them.
I was wondering if maybe we should try Periscope.
Yeah, people like Periscope. I told you we should try Periscope, and you were like, "What's Periscope? I'm going to have to figure that out." Thanks, Mark. Which is true. You have to figure it out. I don't know how to use Periscope.
I know. You just give it. Hey, Jay, I know you're really busy with the CPA, but why don't you just figure out more programs that I won't help with?
Periscope is popular, so if you could figure that out, it'd probably be a good idea. Like that's where the young kids are going. Mm-hmm. That or do you want to be on what was it, Chatbait?
Yeah, we join Chatterbait and then just start talking Knicks.
Exactly.
That would be really funny, actually.
By the way, would it be so the people have paid $300 and they're supposed to get live shows and not getting live shows always. Are the people going to pay $500 million a month and be like, Jay, you said you'd buy the Knicks. I'll get around to it. Gilm had one more question. And we apologize to the fan that wanted to watch live because they couldn't because of Jay. Gilliam writes, what do you make of the report that Kyrie is almost desperate to be traded to the Knicks? Do you buy it? Maybe because the other options are Minnesota and Phoenix. Are the Knicks suddenly interesting to stars?
No.
Well,
Kyrie's from New York.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like, who the hell wants to live in Minnesota? I can't believe Jimmy Butler went there voluntarily.
Yeah.
Phoenix is supposed to be a nice place to live.
I mean, Minnesota is not the greatest, place if you like warmth, but they got a team.
I was talking a while back to people that lived in Minnesota, and they were telling me, and I forget how much it was they paid for their house, but they paid some sum that wasn't that much money, and they had like a goddamn mansion because no one wants to live in Minnesota, so you can get a lot for your money.
Yeah.
So, Jay, if you're thinking about places to relocate, you could do the podcast in Minnesota.
I'd never be able to handle their winter.
You wouldn't sweat there, at least.
No.
Yeah, so that's all the questions. So, yeah, I don't think it's also probably like. So, do you think there's a chance Cleveland just says, "That's interesting. You're going to be traded, Kyrie. We want to make a lot of money next year, so we're just going to keep you on the team."
Yeah.
I mean, what's Kyrie going to do? He's under contract for next year, and is he going to hurt his trade value by not playing well? And worst case, they go to the finals, LeBron leaves, and then you trade Kyrie next year.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what I would do.
You may not get quite as much, but at least you get to go to the
Yeah, let's try for 4 straight finals.
Yeah, at least this way you know you're going to go to the finals.
Yeah.
And maybe you might yeah, I don't. Do you think this is similar to Shaq and Kobe? That's the other one people have been bringing up.
No, just because it seems like Irving was unhappy before LeBron even showed up.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. You think anyway Cleveland would choose because the other thing weird is he's like, I want a team to myself. I want to be the main guy, but in 1 year you will be the main guy in Cleveland.
I think he's also mad at the front office.
For what?
Well, it sounds like they don't consult with him for anything. While they give LeBron a chair at the main office. And if you think about it, they've done almost nothing but terrible moves once they got their 3.
Yeah, someone was talking about on the radio. They were talking about Bill Simmons was talking about this. Actually, it was on the radio. Simmons was like, he was like, why do we think David Griffin is a good GM? He's like, what about it? He's like, he went through all the moves Griffin made on Cleveland. He's like, they went to the finals 3 straight years, but that's LeBron. That's not him. You got first round draft. You got the number 1 pick in the draft. That's not on him. That's just the NBA giving that to him. What moves did he make that he gave 2 first round picks for Maz. He traded a first round pick for Channing Frye. He did a lot of moves. He gave a ton of money to Tristan Thompson. Gave a ton of money to Iman Shumpert. Gave a ton of money to J.R. Smith. Do you think his hands were tied, or
No, I think he. I mean, I think he panicked trying to keep LeBron happy and made a bunch of bad moves.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, LeBron every year got to opt out, and you pretty much have to play every year you're going all in, basically.
Yeah.
Because LeBron could leave, and your window is just how long LeBron wants to stay here.
Yeah, exactly.
What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that, yet again, we can do an entire show when there's nothing going on.
What is it? Here's a question. What's more likely to happen? Melo is in the Knicks training camp, or Kyrie is in the Cleveland training camp?
It's a good question. Kyrie.
Yeah.
I feel like the Knicks want to move Melo more than the Cavs want to move Kyrie.
Is it weird that I know there wasn't that much time between the end of the season and the draft, but wouldn't it have made a lot more sense if Kyrie had went to the team right after the finals, said he wanted to be traded when teams had there was a lot more flexibility to make trades.
Yeah, no, he would have been traded. Yeah, it would have made a lot more sense.
I mean, he went to them right after the draft, I guess, right?
Unless he did secretly, and it just got leaked now.
No, the thing was that he went to them right after the draft. Isn't that what the rumor was, or not the leak? It wasn't he went there that day. It was he'd gone to them right after the draft, which meant a lot of things had already happened.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very weird timing.
Yeah. Also, I pointed this out. Is it kind of weird that people have been killing Melo for not wanting to leave to play with a winner? They're like, Melo, you should want to win with your career. The Knicks aren't going to win. You should want to go win somewhere. And the Knicks are like, hey, Kyrie, you don't want to win. Come here.
By the way, with Melo, we could get such a better package from Portland. I would just be like, I know you got that no trade clause. You're not going to Houston. Like, you're just not. So you could waiver for Portland, or you could play on this crappy Knicks team again. We're not going to take a bunch of garbage. We're not taking Ryan Anderson, so you can be happy in Houston. You have an opt-out after 1 year. You could suck it up in Portland. They have a good team. So it's not like you're going to be that miserable.
They traded Alan Craft's contract, in theory, to get more cap space to get Melo, right?
Well, they saved $40 million in luxury tax.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's freaking crazy. The other the other one that came into play now is Oklahoma.
Right. I mean, anything. I'd just be like, you're not going to Houston. We're not getting a good enough deal for Houston. So,
yeah, whatever you could work out, like you could say Oklahoma, you'd go to Melo. If you can work out decent trades with Oklahoma and Portland, you go to Melo and go, here are your options: Oklahoma, Portland, or you don't play basketball in the NBA next year.
Right.
That's it. Oh, you want to stay here? You don't. We were going to pay you. You don't come to training camp. You could take the year off. See how that does to your brand. You don't want to play the NBA next year. That's cool with us. But here are your options.
Yeah.
Of course, when you say that and threaten him, you'll be like, okay.
I mean, I might not threaten him like that, but I would just tell him straight up, like, we're not getting a good enough deal, so you're gonna have to expand your list, or that's it.
So you wouldn't get the New Jersey Mafia to threaten him?
No, but I mean I might hint that we are going with the youth movement, so Hardaway might be starting. I wouldn't say we're not going to play you, but I would say maybe you're the sixth man now.
When do you do that? When do you say first you just say hey, we want you to trade, we're not going this, wait a while, but then at some point you say you're just being benched?
No, because that kind of stuff leaks out, and you don't want to look that bad to everybody else. I mean, if you just say youth movement, you're going to be a sixth man, he gets the idea. He's not going to like that, and it sounds better if that gets leaked than we're not going to play you.
Well, but also though, if you get to training camp, at some point you can't have him in training camp. If this is still going on, you just want him that was the idea with Marbury. You just didn't want him on the team anymore. If you thought he was a cancer, you can't have him around here. You can't have. I mean, that was a disaster anyway. But you can't have Melo. You can't bench Melo or put him on make him a sixth man or seventh man on the team, and then have him in the locker room infecting the young players.
Well, if he's doing that, then you say, well, now you're just not coming to the game.
Yeah. I mean, this is a.
Anyway, we'll be back soon. Where we're not doing a show this Sunday because Mark has to go on yet another vacation. But we will be back soon.
The NBA, it's an off season. I might well take another vacation, but I'll be back. We'll be back the following Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Is that cool, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back
by the way, before we go, just one more point. Now that we're recording the show, and Jay will probably put it up tonight.
Yep.
And I'm going away on vacation on Saturday. Guarantee Saturday morning or at Friday night at 6 p.m. when we don't have any more time to do a show, Melo's traded.
Yeah. You can lock it in. So you guys are welcome for us getting the ball rolling on this trade thing.
Definitely. There's no way when we can't do a show. And Jay, tell me you will do an emergency show without me if Melo gets traded.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, love.